Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. I'm so glad you are there. Thank you, thank you. This is Pastor Adepiju from Living Wholeness, Outreaches Incorporation. Welcome this evening to another episode of our teaching on living the life that is whole. Living the life that is whole. I'm so glad you are here this evening. Today we are going to continue our topic that we've been talking about now. I believe last week, we missed last week. 2 weeks ago, we started again talking about our mentality in wholeness. Your mentality in wholeness. Your state of mind to live continuous life that is whole on the face of the earth. Your mentality, your mental well-being to live a life that is whole. So, we know that as human being, as humankind, we have spirit, we are soul, we are body. You can say that we are spirit, we have a soul, and we live in this physical body. We are not just the physical being. We have a spirit, we are spiritual. Our heart is spiritual, but we're spirit. We have a soul, and we live in the physical body. With the spirit, we're connected to our source. We're connected to God. We're connected to God Almighty. We're connected to God, our maker. You know, in wholeness that we discuss about on this platform, we believe in creator. We believe in our source. We believe that we're not just half ourselves. We believe that we are made, we are created. So, and we're made, we're created for a purpose. So, to live that life that the manufacturer had made us for, we have to really be spirit, soul, and body, which is the essence of my own calling, is the alignment, the balancing, the centering of our spirit, our soul, and our body. So that we live a life that is whole, a life that is balanced, a life that is centered, a life that the centering, the balancing will now enable us to add value to our world. And our world starts from our living room, our home. Our world starts from our immediate association, our family, ourselves, our family, before we go outside, and then outside into the community, your neighbors, and then the city, the county, the city, the general town, and then to the uttermost parts of the world. So the purpose of this program is really to encourage, to inspire, and to teach about wholeness, a life that is whole, a life that is whole, a life that is balanced, a life that is, you call it wholeness, we call it wholeness living, meaning a life that is whole, a whole life, a life that is rich, a life that is transformed, a life that is balanced and centered, a life that you know who you are and whose you are. You are not of your own. A life that is always consciously aware that there's a source. You come from a source and you live in that source. And that source directs and guides every moment of time. So when we are conscious of this, then that will take us to that place of then how do we really achieve this balance life? The main purpose, which we're still going to continue next week on this, our mentality to live a life that is balanced, a life that is centered, a life that is whole. We're going to continue next week. But as we journey this week on our mentality in wholeness, we have to go back to, we have defined that we're spirit, we're soul, we're body. With the spirit, we connect to our source. And the soul is where the work is. The soul is where the major part of the work is. So the soul is the seat of our mentality. The soul is where our mind is. And inside the mind, with the mind, is our mentality, our emotion, our will, our determination, our thoughts, all those attributes of our emotions, all those attributes of the soul. The soul is where all those attributes are: the mind, the emotion, the mentality, So we, couple of weeks ago, we talked about emotion, which is really the art of our energy that moves in our body, how it flows. So our mentality also stems from that realm. Our mentality is also the part of us that really think and act. Our mentality, it's part of our mind that thinks and act. You know, we feel with the energy, we feel with our energy. But our mentality is the part, like I said, that thinks and bring the thought into that place of the emotion. So our mentality in wholeness, our mentality must constantly be very sound. Our mentality should constantly be extremely sound. To continuously live that life that is whole and balanced, we have to come to that place of being aware that the power to achieve this lies in our mentality, how we carry our thoughts, how we carry our thoughts, how we manage our thoughts, how we live in that place of self-awareness, how we are able to control our emotion, how we're able to live that life that is balanced, something that our mentality has to really be habitual. It becomes our habitual. How do I manage my life? How do I really carry myself? How do I add value to myself? And in adding value to myself, how do I now begin to add value to other people around me? What's the product of my thinking? What's my thought? To constantly be checking our thoughts, our mentality, our thoughts. To constantly be checking that thoughts and how we handle the thoughts. As the thought comes to us, do we immediately react to the thought? Do we ponder on the thought that comes to us? Do we ponder on the thought that comes to us? Are we able to, in every situation of life, are we able to walk in that realization, in that realm of you know who you are, whose you are, and where you are going? When we are walking from that approach, we will constantly be paying attention. You know, every moment you are connecting with the source, and connection to the source will now give you that thought of the source. So we're able to, in any circumstances, in any situation, no matter where you find yourself, you are able to live that balanced life when we pay close attention to our mentality. Mentality also is also a way of how do we see life? How do we see every situation? How are we able to use what we have to always bring positive out? How do we use, if we have a little energy within us, how do we use that little and bring out the best of that little? If we have much, how do we use that much and bring out the best? So our sound mental approach, sound mental state will help us to live that life that is whole. As we know that wholeness is a state of being. It's a state of being. We're conscious of every state. We're at one moment. We're always conscious of our source. We're always conscious of the environment. You enter an environment and you take charge from within. We are not taking charge by being the one that talks louder, by being the one that our action is that everybody knows that you are there. But the inner strength, because the mentality that we're talking about is not about what we're really demonstrating in the physical. It's about how strengthened we are in our thought, how strengthened we are in the way we distribute our thoughts, our thinking, that will now become our habits, that will now form the character and the behavior we are letting out. So the mentality, our mentality Our mentality helps us to really add value to our world. Our mentality helps us to really be in health. Our mentality helps us to be in that state of wellness, be in that state that we are centering and we're balancing. How do we really get to this mental state of life? How do we constantly use this mentality? And how do we constantly be in that state that we're using a mentality that is producing life, that is producing health? First, with everything that, most of the things that I teach on this platform always stems back to the awareness of our composition, awareness of who we really are, that we're spirit, we're soul, we're body, and the health of all this part of us being balanced. The balancing of the three parts of us will enable us to add value to ourselves, and then in turn adding value to the masses. There's no point in us running about adding value to other people and we're not really adding value to ourselves. How do we add value to ourselves? By bringing ourselves in that positive approach of mentality, that our mentality is positive all the time. When our mentality is in that state that is balanced, in that state that's conducive to life, some of these chronic diseases, some of these even diseases, mental health will be sound. Because when we have a healthy mentality, our mental health will be very sound. Our physical health will be extremely sound. Our behavioral health will also be very sound. Our social health will also be very sound. And also our financial health will also be very sound. It's extremely important to pay attention to our mentality. Healthy mentality leads to healthy life. Healthy mentality leads to healthy relationship. How do we continuously maintain a healthy, well-balanced mentality? The first thing that I said is being awareness, the awareness that this is one main thing that we need to journey through life. The awareness, the consciousness, and then demonstration of what we have, demonstration of what we know. You know, we can read all the book on self-development, self-improvement. We can listen to tapes, we can listen to YouTube channel, we can listen to different things, we can attend different seminars. But if we don't put it into practice, we will not be able to achieve all the knowledge that we're collecting. So after being aware of everything that we know about our body composition, the second thing is to be educated about our mentality. And one of the ways of education is this platform here. To be educated about what is mentality, what is my mentality, how do I use it to add value, is really helping us to bring good character, good habits, eliminating stress. When our mentality is very healthy, the number one thing that we're going to eliminate is stress. And then we're able to find ourselves in a state that you are sufficient, you are self-sufficient. And when I'm talking about self-sufficient, you are not worried, you are not balanced, you are not worried, you are not concerned about whatever comes your way. You have stability. You're able to stand and pray and then ask yourself, in that state of really being secure and well grounded and balancing, you are able to now know what to do. So healthy mental health, healthy mentality will get us to that place that you are balanced, you are stable, you know that you are safe, and then you are secured. You are secured, you are safe, and you are balanced. That's one of the benefits of really put ourselves in that state of mentality that is healthy, mentality that is whole, mentality that, because when we talk about emotion, we talk about thought, it all stems from the mentality. Mentality is it's one of the laws of the universe. Mentality, it has to be extremely healthy, it has to be balanced. So we are aware of this. We are constantly aware of the state of our mental health, of our mentality. We know that shift in mentality can mean shift in our whole existence. And it sounds as if that's a huge thing to describe, because when mentality is not sound, then we are out of control. Then we are excessively hungry. You know, we can be angry. But when the anger is so excessive to the point of really hurting ourselves or hurting somebody else, we have to go back to what is the state of my mentality. How is my mentality? And then when we pay attention to it, if we need to seek counsel to bring us back into that approach of balancing, because sometimes just listening to tapes, just listening to all this teaching is not enough. To achieve that atmosphere of healthy mentality, sometimes you need somebody else's help to help you to see. Because when we're talking about thinking, a lot of time for us to really be put our thoughts, our feelings into action, we have to be able to see what either we're reading, what somebody else is telling us. Sometimes when we don't see it with our inner eye, it may be impossible for us to really come to that state of balancing. But when we see, and sometimes when we read all these things, when we listen, we don't really see. But when we see that, okay, my mentality, if it's very healthy, I wouldn't behave the way I behave, then you are able to bring yourself back into that center. And from that center, you are able now to ponder, meditate, bring yourself to that place of healthy atmosphere. And then you are able to see that your wrongs. But when we are clouded with so many things, that a lot of blocks is in our mentality. Because when we're excessively hungry and we're not taking care of it, we just let it pass. We're not sitting down to ponder and ask ourselves question of life, like, how did I get to that negative mentality? You know, we can control our own action. A lot of time, we actually, not even a lot of time, the principle of life is all about controlling your whole self. There's a saying that you make yourself, like, you believe in God, you are looking for a very good spouse. You make yourself that good spouse. And then your partner, you will attract your partner when you put yourself in a way that this is all that I want in a partner, and you make yourself that partner. And then you will draw that same character, that same habit, that same mentality to yourself. So we're able to be in that state that we are in control. You are in control of self. You are always in control of self. You don't need somebody else to control you. But it takes time. It takes, first of all, being aware of, okay, who am I? What's my composition? What's my disposition? And how am I supposed to really carry myself? Simple things that, when we talk about it on this platform, you look at it like it's so simple. But when we really don't practice the simple things of life, we find ourselves in places that we really do not want to find ourselves. And we blame other people for putting us in a negative approach. When we are working with healthy mentality that is sound, positive, and whole, we're able to add value to ourselves. We're able to, I dare say, eliminate stress. Or maybe we start from reducing stress, managing stress, that will get us to that place that we're able to eliminate stress, bad stressor, that gives us high blood pressure, cardiac problem, that leads into all these chronic diseases. Constipation is really part of stress unmanaged, stress that is not eliminated, stress that is not reduced. So you're able to really find yourself. Healthy mentality, like I said, will help us to reduce, eliminate, or manage stress. And when stress is really managed, reduced, or completely taken out, negative stress, some stress are very healthy for you. The kick that you have to continue your day, the kick, that state that you put yourself to be able to meet deadlines, those are healthy stress. Eustress. They're very healthy, positive stress. But the negative one, that we keep piling anger, piling bitterness, piling things that people have done to you, or even what you have done to yourself, that we're not taking time to sit down and really heal ourselves. And when I'm talking about healing ourselves, it's paying attention to ourselves, putting ourselves in that place of solitude, putting ourselves, eliminate noises, and then getting into that place, daily getting into that place. Even if it's just 10% of your time, we have 24 hours of the day, we take time to just put ourselves in that place that we are in solitude, to be able to check our mentality as to, okay, how was my day yesterday? Okay, when if different things that is negative happened, how did I get there? If we don't have, how did I get there? What makes me get there? How do I not get back to that negative mentality? Because if we don't daily walk in that approach of really pausing, putting ourselves, separating ourselves from noise every day. If you are able to do that, if not every day, whatever time that your schedule permits, to draw yourself back and check yourself, kind of like daily tune up, daily checking up on yourself. As you think about what you are going to eat, not fret about what you're going to eat or worried about it, but at least put your mind into what you're eating. You're also putting your mind into your mentality, putting your mind into things that will add value to you. Again, we're talking about our mentality to live a life that is balanced, to live a life that is whole, to live a life that will add value, to live a life that will be centered. And we're saying that the first aspect is really to know our composition, to be aware of our composition, and to know how to manage our emotion, know how to manage our mentality. And we talk about mentality as being our thoughts that generate feelings, so that we're able to constantly produce healthy thoughts. We're able to get ourselves to that place of, when we're producing healthy thoughts, healthy feelings, we're connecting also to our spirit, because inside our spirit is that energy of love, of joy, of peace. So that mentality connecting with the spirit, where peace is, where shalom, where happiness, where all the good things that's already locked up on the inside of us. When mind is healthy, we're able to draw the things that is embedded in our spirit, and the end result is that it flows into this physical body, which is our house on the planet. With this body, we connect to this planet. So when all the juices, all the healthy juices of the mentalism, of the mentality of the spirit connects together, we're able to all those things infuse into our physical body, and we're able to live that life that is healthy, that life that is balanced, that life that is whole, that life that we add value to people around us. this mentality, are we saying this evening that, okay, when you live in this approach, there will be no down days? That's not what we talk about in this wholeness. We know that wholeness is that life that is balanced, that life that is united, that life that is harmony within yourself. You are harmonized, you are in harmony, you are in health, you are in wellness. It does not mean that you are not going to have down days. It does not mean that you're not going to have chaos. It does not mean that everything, every day, all moments will be very rosy and bubbling. No. But the advantage of daily checking our mentality, daily putting ourselves in that place that is balanced and centered, is that when those days comes, it's easy for you to bounce back. It's extremely easy for you to bounce back. It's extremely easy for you to learn from the mistake, because if there is no mistake in our lives, we are getting to that stage that we need to get to the next level. The mistake that I'm talking about doesn't mean that we have to really all the time be out of character. If we're all the time being out of character, then we need more development. We need more development. Sometimes it will even cause you to need medicine, it will cause you to need therapy if all the time you're out of character. But when you're out of that mentality, that positive mentality, when you make mistake, you have to fall to be able to experience forward going. There is no life that is not without mistake. But when we make mistake, when we fall, we're able to bounce back quickly. When we already condition ourselves to a very healthy mentality, when our mentality is very positive, when our mentality is conducive for healthy life, when our mentality is whole, when our mentality is whole and balanced. So we're able, when we fall, when we miss the mark, when we move too far to the left or too far to the right, it's easy for us to bring ourselves back to that life that is centered, that is balanced, that will produce health and healing unto us, in turn spreading to life around us. I'm extremely joyful and happy for you joining me this evening. It's been a great pleasure sharing with you about mentality in wholeness, how to live a well-balanced mental life to achieve a life that is whole and balanced and centered. Do join me next Thursday again as we continue on your mentality in wholeness. You enjoy the rest of your evening, and join me on Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, as we do our church service under